Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me here live. If you are here live, if you're watching on the replay, shout out to you as well. If you are listening on the Act on This TV audio experience on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts. Have I said that? I don't know. Just thanks for checking in. Thanks for listening in. Really do appreciate it. Do come and join us live one Monday night though, 9 till 10 p.m. UK time. Got loads to discuss tonight. I don't really know where to begin. I've got a bit of a list of things here. I was just saying before you went live, like in a little waiting area. Anyone else double jabbed up? And I got my second Pfizer jab, right, 2 weeks ago. I know we're going a bit off topic here, right? We will get back onto acting any second. But I feel just over the weekend, I was actually, it was bad timing as well. I was shooting a BBC drama this weekend that is freaking incredible. And I'm not going to spoil it for you, but I got to ad-lib a little bit during my scenes. And I have put something into my performance that I hope they keep in, right? I don't know if they will or they won't. It wasn't scripted. I had to ad-lib about 4 or 5 lines at the end of my scene. And I put something in that only you guys in this community, particularly if you watch like these live broadcasts on a Monday night, only you will get. It's a little sort of ode to Act on This, a little doff of the cap to Act on This members. I just freaking hope they keep it in. But it was such a good shoot. But I feel then the left hand side. I had my jab in the left hand side. I feel like my lymph node in my neck's swelling. Getting a bit of a sore throat, and like it's a bit swollen on this side, not on the other side where I didn't have the jab. But I've heard that that's like happening to people. Anyone else had that or what? Let me know throughout the chat tonight if you had. Let me know what other crazy side effects you've had. I mean, I'd rather have a slightly inflamed lymph node for a few days than COVID, but it's not ideal. It feels like it's burning a bit, and it's quite sort of like tender. But the other side isn't. So I'm drinking some green tea because it's got loads of good stuff in it, apparently. So we'll wait and see. We shall wait and see. Zoe says, I bet you said bye for now. Maybe Zoe, maybe I did, maybe I don't. But who knows? Who knows? There's definitely something in there, though, that you guys will all get. Jane said, yes, my lymph node swelled. Oh, right, so it is. So it is a thing then. Ricky said, yeah, had lymph node under arm inflame in the same arm. All right, Tony Rossi, all the way from the States. I hope you are well, my man. Josh said my arm went completely dead. Honestly, couldn't lift it. Holy shit! Bloody hell! Well, I'm glad to know that I'm not on my own. I've not got any arm issues, Josh, but definitely feel like the left side of my lymph nodes in my neck are just. Well, I think they're producing antibodies or whatever they're supposed to be doing. I think that's the whole point. So we sort of veered off. Let's get back onto acting. Loads to discuss tonight. The first thing I'm going to discuss really quickly, because I know I've done this last month, right? And loads of you people who are on here will have even been on this training. You know, I did a training for actors looking for the first TV role last month. If you don't, then you can still get involved in this. I was only going to do it last month for the last time this year. I've had loads of emails from people saying they couldn't make it. Will I do it again? I don't plan. This is the last time, basically, right? I don't plan to do this again, at least this year. If you are an actor and you are looking for your first or maybe your next TV role, maybe you've had a couple of TV roles under your belt, but you're looking for your next one, and you want a proven blueprint, ultimately, of how to do it, in this training that I'm going to give again for the third time, on Saturday. It's going to be on Zoom this Saturday, the 7th of August. I'm going to walk you through literally a blueprint of how I booked my first 15 TV jobs, and actually how today I still use these strategies almost every single week to land auditions and book work, including that job that I just did for the BBC on Saturday. If you want to be involved, get yourself over to actonthis.tv/training. You can fill in, I'll show you if I go over to the webpage, you can fill in this little form on here. And it's all automated. It basically, you fill that form in, it will instantly send you a Zoom link. Keep that link safe. And that will be your Zoom link for Saturday. It's taking place at 10 a.m. We'll finish, it says 11 a.m. there, but I always waffle on and go over. So we'll be done by about 11:30. If you were on the training last month, it is the exact same training. I'm just going to go over the same stuff, so don't feel you have to come again if you're on the training last month. Hopefully you are putting into practice what we went over last month, but it's completely free. Saturday, August the 7th, 10 till 11. Go to actonthis.tv/training, fill that form in, and get your Zoom link straight away. I'll leave the link up on the bottom of the screen for those people who are watching the video version throughout this broadcast tonight. But I promise you, that really is not that I don't love doing that training, because it is fun. I just get to talk about my career for an hour, but I'm not doing it again this year. We'll get bored of it. Like, I'm not doing it again. So if you want, it won't be recorded either, right? If you want to be there, this is just for people who are just ready to take action, and are prepared to be there and take it in live. So be there if you want to be. If not, I'll run it again at some point, but it'll be like 2022 when we do that. But that's this Saturday at onthis.tv/training. So that's the first thing to go over tonight. Second thing, I'm going to be playing out some clips from last week's member-only Zoom session with the incredible casting director, Kahleen Crawford. The first time in over a decade of Act on This being around that Carleen's actually been on the website. She's amazing. She casts some of the biggest drama out there. Some of the biggest films as well. She always casts Ken Loach's films, things like Sorry, We Missed You, I, Daniel Blake, Looking for Eric back in the day with Steve Everts. So Carleen cast all of Ken's films. But it was just an incredible session. Let me know if you were there. Give me some comments in the chat on Facebook if you were there. And Sharon says absolutely worth doing that training. So good. Cheers, Sharon. Appreciate your kind words there. Let us know if you were there on the session with Kahleen. But we went into detail on loads of stuff, but particularly tonight, what I want to look at really, I mean, they're just obviously very appropriate things right now, and they're self-tapes and Zoom recalls. We went into quite a lot of depth on these within that chat with Kahleen, and because they've become so prevalent during the pandemic, but also now we're moving out of it, fingers crossed, they're not going anywhere. Like, one thing that's happened in terms of the acting industry is we've kind of evolved. I reckon we've been forced to evolve probably like 10 years worth in 2 years of this, well, nearly 2 years of all this stuff sort of kicking off. People have been forced to embrace technology. Self-tapes were already kind of a thing, but now they are just like absolutely the norm. For the first round of all auditions, it's all going to be self-tape. And I know people are dying to get back in the room, but if you are not really focusing on your self-tape game, which isn't complicated either, we're going to go through just how simple it can be tonight. I think you're doing yourself a massive disservice if you're like, oh, I'm not technological, I'm going to wait till we get back in the room. We're just not going to happen. We will be in the room particularly for recalls. They won't all be on Zoom. But the first round of castings, because casting directors can see so many more people, so spread the net so much further and wider. It's all done on tapes. So I'm going to play some clips out just on tapes and Zoom recalls tonight. Esther said it was a great webinar. I was there, says Indra. All right, Sandra, how are you doing? Sandra from Germany, who's in Manchester right now. Sandra will definitely get a little group meetup before you go as well. I know I said I wasn't going to come and get involved in any meetups until I shot that job at the weekend, because if I ended up with a positive COVID result, I would have been kicked off that job. So now I don't have a job in jeopardy. I'm back on the audition circuit. We'll definitely get a small little group meetup of Act on This members before you go back to Germany. So remind me about that and we'll figure that out. Andrea, how you doing as well? So the first clip that I'm going to play, is just Kahleen on self-tapes, on what she thinks makes a great self-tape. And this isn't some magic formula. We can all, if you're anything like me anyway, we can all really overthink self-tapes. I do. I'm really guilty of that. I'm particularly guilty of shooting too many takes. I know that for a start. My hit rate's been all right on self-tapes. It's not been fantastic. I always feel I do a good job, and I'm always proud of what I send off. But I think I overcomplicate it. I'm just being honest. I think I want to shoot too many takes and go, oh, maybe we just do one like this, or do one like that. And sometimes I've been ready to send it off to the casting director, and I've changed my mind as I've edited it and I've been about to send it. I've been like, oh, I just had an idea. I'm just going to go and do one more. I'm just guilty of overthinking that sort of thing. So this really is just Kahleen on a simple formula of an effective self-tape. It's just 2 minutes of the 90-minute chat that we had with Kahleen watch this, I'll be back in a sec. What makes like a cracking tape, and what are the pitfalls actors are maybe falling into that makes it not so good?
Every self-tape is an audition. Please consider it an audition. I consider it an audition. I take it just as seriously when you do that for me. Let us see you clearly, like, filmed clearly. It can be on your iPhone, just get one of those little clamps that sticks onto your tripod, stick your iPhone in it. It doesn't have to be any posher than whatever your phone is. You don't need to go to like a big old setup. Good bit of daylight if you can, and a clear enough sound. And I would say know your scenes, and we'll talk about that on the scene recall thing. But know your scenes and bring a character. So you might have a character arc, and it might be a lead, and that's great, and it's easy, and you've seen all the episodes, and you know what you're doing. Or it might be, someone who's, in 3 scenes, like, whatever. A doctor in 3 scenes.
Yep.
Just give that person a purpose in their day or a thought in their head, and like just create a little something with it, and it makes all the difference. It just like add that character to it, that intention. I can honestly tell you, and I just said about the unconscious bias training, me or my associate, and actually to be honest with you, usually me as well, watches every single last self-tape that comes in, as long as it's solicited. We don't get a lot of unsolicited, and to be honest with you, I'm a soft touch, so I watch the unsolicited ones anyway. And by unsolicited, I mean the agent just goes like, I know you didn't ask for, Ross to tape, but here's his tape. And I'll be like, cheeky buggers.
Yeah, sorry about that. I keep doing that.
I'll watch it, because that actor like literally spent 16 hours prepping it and filming it, and fell out with her girlfriend in the process of taping it.
Definitely. actonthis.tv if you want to unlock the full 90-minute chat with Kahleen, by the way, and join us for sessions like that literally every single week on a Tuesday or a Thursday night. We go live for a private Zoom session with the top casting director, agent, actor, writer, producer, director, literally the best people in the industry, the biggest names, genuinely the biggest names in TV. There was one thing particularly there that I have to remind myself every single tape, particularly if it's for the 1 or the 2 scene roles, the smaller roles. Like you said, you might be coming in for 3 lines as a doctor or something like that. And it is to not be complacent and always make sure that you give that character, regardless of how small that part is, a purpose. Like she said, you sometimes you don't have the luxury of the overall story arc. If you go for a lead role, it's very often so much easier to tape for those roles, because you've got all the meat to that part. You understand the story, where they've come from, where they're going, the entire arc. It's actually a lot easier to get your teeth into something like that when you are delivering 6, 7, 10 lines, 3 lines even, as one of those procedural characters, as a policeman, as a doctor, whatever it is. That's when you can overthink it. And that's when, you can also get complacent and think, oh, well, these lines don't really matter. And she was saying that the thing that really makes the actors stand out who get those roles are the fact that they have just given that character a purpose. They have thought a little bit, not loads, but a little bit about where they've come from, a bit of a backstory of that character. Andy Morgan said something fantastic on the session we did with him. He said he was seeing actors for a small role as a policeman, and the person was interacting with a suspected child abuser. And every actor who came in the room, he said to them, he asked them a question. He said, so the policeman you're playing, has he got kids? And not a single one of them had thought about it. Now, whether that person, if you've got kids, I'm sure, and I haven't, but I'm sure as a policeman anyway, you're not going to like the person who's the potential child abuser. But the dynamic between a father and that figure is probably going to be different or more visceral than just a single guy in his early 20s or whatever, who's got no experience of children, or, having that sort of, paternal kind of feeling around kids. And it's those tiny, tiny little details that can add so much to the performance. So that first clip there, I mean, yes, we went into the technicals, and as you heard Kahleen say there, technicals, they don't have to be technical. They don't have to be super complicated. Shoot on your iPhone, on your iPad. You don't need a mega setup. You don't necessarily even need lights if you have the luxury of shooting it through the day. In the summer, this time of year, that's all right. In the winter, when the nights are drawing in, it's difficult because it means you've got to shoot your tapes in the day if you don't have good lighting. So I'd always invest in a decent set of lights if you can. But for now, shoot in front of a big window with daylight, that's absolutely fine. You don't need to get hung up on the technicals. It's way, way, way more important to think of your performance over whether your iPhone's good enough or whatever. Your iPhone is absolutely good enough. It's your performance that's going to get you the job. So that's just the first clip that I wanted to play out there to remind people, and myself as well, to think about those small details, of that character, even if it is just a couple of lines. And Esther says there are no small parts. Every character has a backstory. Exactly, Esther. But it's probably where I've fallen over in the past, earlier on in my career, where I've not thought too much about that, and maybe I've missed out on parts because I've just not quite added any of those little intricacies in there. I'm not saying you've got to make some bold decision and go, right, well, my policeman is also a part-time contemporary line dancer, and he's going to arrest the guy through contemporary dance. It doesn't mean you've got to go crazy, but just having a little thought in the back of your mind can just, we can see it in your eyes sometimes. It just gives you that little, that little extra spark. Let's have a look what else is going on in the comments. Good advice there, says Lisa. Second clip is on the number of takes you should be sending to a casting director. And this is something, again, that I see pop up in the Facebook group quite a lot, and that's on this Facebook group, like, how many takes is ideal? Do I just, if I'm sure that, this is just how I would play it, I don't see it any other way, do I just send one take? Do I do an alternative just for the sake of doing an alternative? I don't think that's a good idea necessarily. So people just want to do that anyway to show some sort of kind of range. I'm always wary of that because I'm like, if they watch my alternative take first, and that's not my preferred, that they could lose me the job. Like if you absolutely are like, look, this is the way I would do it, I don't see it any other way, I think one take is kind of good enough. But Saba, an actress in the Acts on This community, asked this question about takes. I only ever submit 1 or 2 takes. I shoot about 75, which I've got to stop doing. But this is Kahleen, just talking about the number of takes. And let me know in the chat if you are also as guilty as me of way, way, way overshooting the number of takes on a self-tape. Here's Colleen's advice, though.
Do you prefer to see 2 different takes of a tape if they're done quite differently, or do you prefer just to see sort of 1?
I don't mind, no obligation to do 2, but if you really feel like you want to do something different with it, or you feel like it's actually not particularly obvious how it ought to be played, sometimes it's not obvious to us until we get into recalls with the director. So we're still learning. Sometimes the director is waiting to kind of explore that as well and with you in your audition. But I would say if you do have like a strong sense of something, then go for it. But if you just feel like, honestly, I know that I feel like this is the way that I do it best, and this is probably like on point, or either of those things, then just you're welcome to deliver 1 take. But I certainly don't mind if you've got a couple of different ideas.
If Saba was going to send 2 takes, Colleen, would you prefer them on the same file or 2 separate files?
So 2 separate files, please.
Yep.
Because sometimes, when you're uploading them, the team might kind of have a little look at them, and we might know through experience of having already looked at some other takes that one doesn't work and the other one does, and then we'll only upload 1. Or, for example, if you've done 2 accents and one of them just isn't sitting that comfortably in your mouth, forward stroke, you're not good enough at the accent, as I suppose what I'm saying, then we might just elect to only show the one when you're like doing your own accent or a different accent, because it just like you were really strong at it, or you just seemed much more natural in your own voice, or whatever combination of that. Sometimes we do have a reason that we're asking for, like, please give us one in your own voice and one in a regional that like was specifically close to the geography. And if people really nail that, or if we feel like they would nail it with a little bit of more time than they've had to prep for the audition, then it's really good to hear what you do. But and sometimes, like, again, if you decide to do one in your own voice, We don't get offended.
Bosh. So one take is enough for your self-tape. Yeah, absolutely. No, I completely concur. It makes sense what Kahleen is saying there. One thing that's quite interesting in that clip, though, is talking about accents. And that's something where, you know, sometimes you'll be asked to do a self-tape in an accent. I've had to do a few in a Cockney accent, one for Vera in a Hawa Lake Geordie accent like that. There is merit sometimes in sending a separate take, even if it's not been asked for, in your own accent. I think that's a pretty savvy move where you go, right, here's one in the accent you've asked for, just so you've got it, so you know what I sound like anyway. Here's one in my own accent. Because you know what? Maybe, you know, your performance is so good, the writers are like, well, does this person have to necessarily be from this area? You know, if they don't have to be, if they're not part of a family or something like that, where everyone else speaks with a Geordie accent or whatever, then why can't they just have any accent? So I think that was an interesting point that she made right at the end of that clip. She was like, look, we're not going to get offended. if you want to do one in your own voice, we're not going to get offended. So I think that is pretty good advice. If you're not comfortable with the accent. What do you think is the hardest accent to do, by the way? I'm always intrigued by which accents people can and can't do. Tony Rossi, can you do a UK accent or what? I can do a phenomenal American accent, says Tony. You can, Tony, because you are American, man, and you are very, very good at being American. I can do a pretty good UK accent, but not a great American accent. We should do an accent swap, Tony, where you can teach us all authentic American, and we can teach you some good UK. Liz says American; she finds it hard. Russian, says David. I had to do a Turkish accent at a read-through recently for a new drama, a fantastic drama that you'll get to see. It stars Sheridan Smith and Mike Gibson. You'll see that out next year. It's an absolute cracking drama. And I had to do a Turkish accent. And do you know what? I felt a bit... I had to ask the director before, and I was like, look, I'm reading in for these Turkish parts. In a 2021 world, are people going to think I'm offensive if I do a Turkish accent? Like, genuinely, I didn't know whether it was allowed, but I thought my performance is going to be so much better with the accent because the language is written in a slightly, not broken English, but a more Turkish English, Tenglish. And I was like, can I do the accent? And I did it, and it was all fine. But I did feel a bit self-conscious at first, thinking, are people going to think I'm sort of, I don't know, is it deemed as racist or something if you're putting on an accent or something like that? But it just worked. So don't be afraid of doing accents at read-throughs, as long as you aren't taking the mick. You are doing it legitimately. But yeah, I didn't find I found that all right actually. But I find Welsh impossible. I think Welsh is probably the hardest one for me. London I can do, Geordie. Liverpool I struggle with a little bit to sustain it. But Welsh, absolutely impossible. Stu says he can do a great Geordie accent, but he is from Newcastle. That's good. I love the Geordie accent though. It's got to be one of the friendliest, nicest, just loveliest accents to listen to. Southern Ireland I really like as well. Southern Irish is just a friendly, nice accent to listen to. Nick can do an American accent, but struggles with a lot of others. Yorkshire is mine, says Caitlin, even though both my parents are from Yorkshire. How do they speak in Yorkshire? Like, you know, like Reeds up north, like that. I'm here up, lad. Here by gum, lad, from Yorkshire. Or is that Lancashire? I don't know. Tony's going to be like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Jane does a good Scouse accent, apparently. And Stu, what are you saying, Stu, about where do you find the auditions, please? What are you referring to, Stu, in particular? If you're talking about TV auditions, mate, I mean, oh God, there are thousands of ways. There's not one way at all. I mean, a lot of the stuff that we preach about, what we particularly and why I set up actonthis.tv was to help actors take control of their careers themselves and actually learn how to market themselves. Really understand the business side of this business. If you are just waiting for serendipity to drop an audition in front of you, you will never work. It just will not happen. If you really get to grips and understand the mechanics of this industry, who the like 75 main casting directors who cast all of the TV are, you know, what they're like. I bring them on actonthis.tv for private Zoom sessions with members every single week. We get to know them. We understand where they work, who's in their offices, what they like, what they don't like, the shows that they cast. When you really understand the business, Stu, then you can put showreel material that you've shot yourself or from things that you've been in front of these people, and you know it's congruent with what they are looking for. So, you know, you're not sending some all-action hero, you know, Superman scene to Jenny Radcliffe at Coronation Street. Pointless. She's never casting Superman in Coronation Street unless Superman ever tips up in Weatherfield. I don't know. You've got to be really sort of like precise and specific with who you are marketing yourself to and in what way. And when you do that, the industry opens up for you. Whilst you're waiting for luck to strike, or you feel that your entire career is going to be dictated to you by luck or powerful other people, you will always lose. It's an absolute losing strategy. Or if you leave everything to your agent, or you sign with a not a particularly great agent because you don't understand how the industry works, and then you just expect them to do it all for you, and they can't because they've taken on way too many clients and they don't really understand the industry either, then that's going to be more difficult. There are platforms out there like Spotlight that if you get enough credits you can join, and briefs will go out on those. You know, there's other sites if you're starting off and you're a bit new to the industry. There's sites where you'll have some of the sort of lower hanging fruit, like Mandy.com, there's Backstage, Star Now, places like that where you can get experience on more sort of student stuff or, you know, entry level stuff. But for me, really, yeah, it's all about actually taking control and really understanding the business. If you're in any other business, if you're a plumber or I don't know, whatever you are, you know, you would really understand your business, your tools, you know, where your clients are. The acting industry should be no different, and yet everybody just thinks it's right place, right time and luck, and it's not. It just isn't. If you really understand how the industry works and who is in charge of what, and you are clever about actually marketing yourself in the appropriate way, which if you join actonthis.tv, if you're not a member, you know, you can dig into 400 hours worth of content in the members area from the biggest names in casting, directing, writing, producing, you know, actors in the TV industry, huge names. You would learn so quickly how the industry works. So there's an awful lot of ways though, mate. There's a lot of ways in. There's not just one route in. There's a lot of routes in. So it's figuring out, you know, it's trying a lot of them as well, you know. So if there's 50 ways to get in and you do all 50, you'll get in. If you stop at 3, you know, you've got a 3 in 50 chance, whatever the odds are there, you know, of actually having some success. So yeah, it's about understanding the mechanics of the industry, really. Definitely. What a lot of people do is like, it's the equivalent really of sort of like buying your gym clothes and a gym membership. They go, oh right, well I've got a bit of a show reel, and I've got my Spotlight subscription, and you know, and I've got an agent, so you've got all your kit. But then they never really learn how the machines in the gym work, so they never get a workout. And that's exactly the same as this industry. You get all your things together, but you don't really understand the mechanics and the machine that is this industry, so you never get to work, because you just sit on the sideline in your brand new trainers and your tracksuit going, yeah, I'm ready, come on, when does it start? And it never starts. So yeah, check it out on this.tv there if you really want to understand the business. Third clip from Kahleen's session the other night was brilliant. This is on Zoom recalls, right? So generally speaking, you know, right now, your first round of auditions is going to be done via self-tapes, or if you're lucky, I've had one in the room audition a few weeks ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago with Claire Bleasdale. For a comedy show that she was, a comedy TV show that she was casting. That's the first one since March 20. When was the pandemic? When did it start? 2020. It's all just blends into one. I don't even know what year it bloody started. Everything else has been done on self-tapes. Now, obviously, you get through the first round of self-tapes. You either get the role based off the self-tape. That's happened. That's how I got that role that I shot at the BBC on Saturday. Or you go through to a recall, and the recall happens on Zoom. So I actually had one with Kahleen a few weeks ago for a Channel 4 drama called Screw. I had a really great time. Didn't get the part, unfortunately, but it was really good, to be honest with you. I didn't know how it was all going to work because there were quite big scenes and quite emotional scenes. I'm like, is this going to work on Zoom in my kitchen? But I think it worked pretty well. But Kahleen spoke to me before we did this session and was telling me of some things that she's seen that really surprised me on Zoom recalls that actors are thinking they are getting away with, but they are not, right? And this hadn't even dawned on me. I mean, it's actually quite a clever idea. what people are trying to do. But I can see how it can completely backfire, because you can't be in a scene if you have not fully learned the scene. Okay, so this is a clip where we go through a few things not to do in Zoom recalls, but one thing in particular that if you are guilty of, and you may be on here, it's fine. Don't feel bad about it. Just don't do it, though. Never, ever do this again. All right, I'll see you in 2 minutes. In terms of Zoom recalls, then, how well have they kind of been working for you over this period? And what are those traps we spoke about the other day that actors are falling into that are screwing them up?
As with any audition, the nerves of coming into the room is replaced by the nerves about technology and all of that stuff. And as we know, those nerves can keep you quite on your toes and focused. I mean, as ever, if the nerves are filling your brain and the blood's rushing and you're not hearing or concentrating or focusing, or there's something technical that's getting in the way, just like take a pause and say to the director, I'm so sorry, would you mind repeating what you just asked me to do? I just want to make sure I get this right. There's really no problem with asking that. But I think making sure that you know if your phone connection is more stable than your home connection. You know, if you know that the neighbourhood kids are all arrive home at 3 p.m. and the internet in the whole area goes rubbish and you can get a 12 o'clock appointment and then ask for a 12 o'clock appointment. But I think for us, the not learning and relying on, so like, for example, if you and I are reading together and I'm just slightly doing that,
and they've not even learned it. When you said that the other day, I'm like, oh my God. They're just setting up like another laptop or another screen next to their screen, or they're literally just reading the lines off their laptop that they're dialing in.
They can do it next on the laptop, but some people literally have got like the camera here and are like reading off like, so listen, that's an extreme example, right? And where's the character work? Where's the thought? Like, where's the thing that's going to get you over the line? And absolutely, if you need that, have those key little prompts next to you, but use it to support you through nerves. Don't use it because you're just like, oh, fake it, I'm not going to bother with this, like with this recall, I'll just like, I can get away with it. That just isn't working. And I can honestly tell you that about 7 or 8 times recently, various directors on various different projects have just gone, I just couldn't judge that performance because it was so clearly like an auto cue.
Once again, actonthis.tv if you want to unlock the full chat with Kahleen. But yeah, people are effectively setting up auto cues for their Zoom recalls, and they're putting a screen or a tablet like an iPad next to their laptop, or even just doing it off their laptop, the same laptop that they are using for Zoom, and they are reading their lines for the recall, obviously looking off camera like you would be doing in an audition, and that's why they think they're getting away with it. But the directors and Kahleen are noticing their eyes flicking left to right like they're reading. I'm like, it's a freaking recall. I can understand it if you've been given a script, you know, the night before and you've got to just do a normal audition or whatever the day after, and you want to have the script. I mean, have it in your hands, though. It's fine. Have it in your hands. Look down, then look back up. It's not a problem, you know. It's not a memory test. But to think you are fooling the system on a recall where you're probably doing the same scenes that you did for the original audition anyway, so you should know them by now. People are reading them. And like that you can't perform. You cannot perform. You know, if in the Zoom recall that I had, I was supposed to be in a prison. There's loads of stuff going on around me. My lines are, I'm reacting to all these things that are going on. It's kicking off. All this kind of stuff's happening. If my one focal point is the lines here, my performance is going to be dog crap. So learn your lines. I know it's isn't it funny how many times we come back to this? It's literally the most straightforward thing that, like, literally acting 101. And yet, how many casting directors who cast the biggest TV shows in the world come on our sessions and say, people aren't learning the lines? And sometimes even directors where people are going on set and they're going, I could see, you know, Sasha Spark, Lewis Arnold's editor. Lewis directed Time with Stephen Graham and Sean Bean and Des before that, and loads of incredible shows. We've had Lewis on a few times, you know, and he said, look, I know it sounds crazy, you know, but he says sometimes me and Sasha in the edit, we can see the cogs working in people's eyes when they've been on set and they've not fully known their lines. He says, I know it sounds like it shouldn't be a thing. He says, but it is a thing where people, again, are still not ready. Like, if you're the lead role and you're in every single day and you've got, monologue after monologue after monologue and all this sort of stuff, I can understand. But if you're a day player and you're coming in for a couple of days, there's just no excuse. Learn the freaking lines. Brian says, is it okay for self-tapes if you're sending off 4 to 6 a day? You can't learn all. Yeah, Brian, absolutely, man. If you're doing 4 to 6 self-tapes a day, mate, like, I don't know what you're doing. You're doing something incredibly right there, though. It's not a case of it being a memory test. Like, if you're doing self-tapes, and if you just need a glance down to look at the lines, like, if you've got the lines in front of you, you need a little glance. And as long as your head is up when you're delivering the line and you're making eye contact with your reader, or, the mark you've got on the wall is your eye line or whatever, that's absolutely fine. No one's going to criticize you or, penalize you for that. I think Carleen's issue is people think they're getting around the system and that people aren't even noticing. And it's like, no, we are noticing. And the directors cannot judge the performance because it's like you're literally reading auto cue. So it's almost more inhibiting than it would be if you had the script in your hand. You had to just look down, get your line, come back up, boom, deliver the line as a performance, not as a newsreader. So it is interesting, isn't it? It is interesting. But yeah, no, of course it's not. It's not, auditions are not memory tests. So to perform properly at a recall, you will have had more time with a script. The first round of self-tapes, if you're getting 4 to 6 a day, mate, then God, I'd have a nervous breakdown. If I get 2 in a day, I'm like, oh God. 4 to 6 a day, I don't know. I don't know how you're doing that at all. But for recalls, to stand the chance and to be able to deliver a performance, you've got to learn those lines, man. Sounds so basic. I can't believe that we're still talking about it, but it is always something that comes up. Definitely. But yeah, Brian, if you've got a lot in one day, yeah, honestly, don't worry about that. We're not calling that out at all. This is more just to highlight that you just be honest. And you know what? And if you go to an audition and you could do with a few more minutes or whatever to just get those lines in your short-term memory, or you need an earlier or later time or whatever, ask for that as well. That's one thing that we learn every week with casting directors. They say every week, look, we're here because we want you to get the part. We want to make you look as good as you can look, because the better you look, the better we look in front of the directors, and obviously, just better for everybody. Everyone just wants the best performance, so they will facilitate whatever you need generally if they can, to give you that room and that space to make sure you can perform well. So like she said there, if you know that you're doing a Zoom recall and all the kids come home in your area at 3:00 from school and your internet's going to go to shit, but your internet would be better at midday. So listen, any chance I could do my Zoom recall with you at midday, because my internet connection is going to be miles better and I'm not going to be strung up on that and thinking about that. Ask for what you need, whether you're in the room or out of the room, ultimately. But I think it's where people feel they're getting away with stuff. It's like, no, you're not getting away with that. Like, if you need more time with the lines, maybe ask for it, but don't think you're conning people. Brendan says, I try to memorize something every day. It's muscle memory. Yeah, Brendan, I think that's a good idea, man. The more you do it, the better you get. It's part of my prep. Yeah, honestly, I think that is good. Genuinely, like, when you are busy, I've definitely experienced that. When you're busy, I used to do a lot of corporate presenting, and my eyes were never good enough for the auto cue. If it was too far away, even with contact lenses in, I was like, I just can't see it. So I would have to learn big chunks of the script. But because you only have to hold it short-term memory, I got really good at learning half pages to camera in just a few minutes and going, right, I think I've got it, let's go. And maybe I stumble a little bit on the first one. I go, right, hang on a second, yeah, got it. By take 3, I could nail it. And then instantly I'd forget it. But it's like, right, let's move on to the next bit and move on to the next bit. So the more I did that, definitely the stronger my muscle memory got around learning lines quickly. So it is a matter of, doing stuff regularly, I think, mate. I think you're absolutely right with that. For sure. Caroline says she did a short where a 6-year-old actress knew all the lines, another actor kept forgetting. Kids are good. Kids will just get it. That happened to me. That's typical of me. Just go, hang on. The child knows all my lines as well. What's going on here? Right, so they were the clips that I wanted to play out. Yeah, the 2 self-tape ones and the Zoom recall one. I've got a mash-up of a few other things that I'm going to play out at the end. This week's session for members, and I can't believe this has come round so quick. I only realised over the weekend, I was on the train back from London. I was looking at all of the sessions in the archive. I was showing you what I was doing. Look, I'll show you what I did. This is for people who don't even know what Acts on This is as well. Come and check this out. Go and get your place on the free training, by the way, actsonthis.tv/training. Who was it before? He was asking about Stu. Was it Stu? Were you on here before? You're asking about how you get the auditions. Mate, join me for this on Saturday. It's free. actsonthis.tv/training. I'll take you through how I got my first 15 TV jobs. You'll learn a lot on that. But this is the main site. What I was doing is I was going through the archive here. These are the previous weeks of sessions that we've done. So we had Kahleen on last week. We had Andy Nyman on, who just put some stuff out on Twitter with Darren Brown tonight. Melissa Johns on the week before that. But I was counting them up, going 4, 5, 6, 7, Stephen Graham, 8, 9, 10, 11. And I was thinking, there's 12. I was thinking, hang on a minute, every 3 months we do a showreel surgery. When was the last time we did a showreel surgery? I was like, boom, there was Q2, literally like clockwork. So this week is Q3's showreel surgery. Now, if you don't know what showreel surgery is, you need to come join it because it's freaking great. I love doing these sessions. This is going to happen this Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. There's a guy called Chris Stone who, in my opinion, and there's a few showreel producers in the country who are very, very good, but Chris, in my opinion, creates just the nicest looking, very often the best written, edited and just, colour graded and mastered showreel scenes in the country. His stuff looks broadcast quality, and if you are new to the industry or, you've not worked for a few years and the footage you've got on your showreel is really old and you don't want to put it out there anymore, Chris is an incredible guy who can just, write you a custom scene. You can cast it yourself or with his help, and then he will shoot this scene for you. And it's just, they look fantastic. They look brilliant. They make casting directors sit up and watch, and they're just a great way for you to get some footage fast that you can use in your marketing. Chris joins us for these sessions, and it's happening this Thursday night. And what we do is we play out 5 showreels from members of the community. So these aren't showreels necessarily that Chris has made or anything like that. These are just your showreels, right? So I'm going to put in the Facebook group tomorrow, and I might send out an email, a link to a Google form where if you want to be in the chance of having your showreel played out and critiqued by Chris on Thursday night, you can put a YouTube link or a Vimeo link. It's got to be on YouTube or Vimeo because that's where we rip them from. So if you get your showreel up on YouTube or Vimeo, then you can put the link in this form that I'm gonna give you access to tomorrow. We're going to choose 5, or Chris is going to choose 5 at random. We're going to download them and we're going to go through them on the evening. We're going to look at what's great about them, what could maybe be improved. You don't have to have like a huge scene, a huge showreel either. If you've got like 1 scene or 2 scenes, that's more than enough. And basically, Chris, with his God knows how many years of expertise and the thousands of showreel scenes that he's shot, is going to go through and just give his best tips and strategies out to make the 5 that we choose pop even more than they do already, just again to give you the best chance possible of piquing the interest of casting directors and directors and just people in general that you're sending your reels out to. And then we're also just going to have a general chat at the beginning as well on the current trends of showreels, what Chris is seeing as popular. Chris shoots reels every single week. He was shooting 2 reels today, but he shoots probably six reels a week, something like that. So he's got literally thousands of reels under his belt. He knows what actors are asking for. He knows what is making or breaking a reel. He also edits reels, so he gets to see a lot of the stuff that people have either created elsewhere or have got off TV. He knows how to really tell a story with a reel, take the viewer on a journey. And so we're going to cover all of that. We're going to look at some sort of distribution on social media as well. Just going to be an incredible session. We do it every quarter, basically. So every 3 months. So this has just fallen on exactly 3 months since the last one, this Thursday. So join us for that 7:30 p.m. Where's the little cartoon I've got of Chris? Here he is. Anyone who knows Chris Stone, that does look like Chris, doesn't it? The showreel doctor, I call him. So he's going to be operating on your showreels and doing a little bit of showreel surgery to bring your showreels back to life if they're dead. Just give them a clean bill of health if they're already amazing. So that's going to be Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. We've got the week after that. Do you know already? It's Cocktails and Conversation again. That's another thing that happens every 3 months that we've not done in 3 months. Week after that, we've got Jessica Jeffries, great casting director. She focuses a lot on motion capture and performance capture, particularly for sort of like CGI, a lot of computer-generated stuff, computer games, special effects in films. Week after that, we've got Hollyoaks director on. The week after that, we've got a great agent on. we've got just loads and loads of incredible people coming up over the next few months. But I'm excited about Showreel Surgery, and I'm definitely excited about having a cocktail on Cocktails and Conversation the week after, because it's been a busy few months, hasn't it? We've had some mega guests on over the last few weeks. Josh says he's getting some new scenes. Now your comment's gone, Josh. Unfortunately, I've missed it, mate. But James says he just had my first one done by Chris. Oh, wow. Him and Steph are so awesome. Yeah, Steph's Chris's wife. She does all the colour grading. She's also the boom operator, the sound person on the shoot. Steph's great. And Sharon says, yeah, it's so like him. Not quite Doctor Strange though. Yeah, Chris does a lot of cosplay, so he's big on film. Obviously, he's a filmmaker. He's massive on films, and particularly like Marvel and DC. Often goes to these Comic-Con things dressed as characters, and he does do a good Doctor Strange, definitely, without a doubt. So yeah, join us for that this Thursday night. What else? We got 12 minutes. What else did I have to tell you tonight? I'm trying to think of anything else that's coming up. Just let me know if you're here, by the way, and you want your show reel looked at this Thursday as well. As I always like to reward people who get involved in the stuff that we're doing. So if you do want your show reel looked at, just give me a heads up on here, and if I see the link come in when I put the form out in the Facebook group tomorrow, I might steer Chris towards your reel. I'm always up for rewarding people who come and hang out on a Monday night. Apart from that, I mean, we can just do some Q&A if you want for 10 minutes. I'm trying to think if anything else has come up for me that I wanted to talk about. We've covered the training on Saturday. So again, if you're looking for your first TV role or your next TV role and you weren't on the training that I did at the start of last month, this is the last time I'm going to do this training. actonthis.tv/training this Saturday, 10 a.m, completely free. Go and fill that form and you'll get your Zoom link sent to you straight away. We've covered the Kahleen Crawford stuff. I'm going to play out one more clip from her at the end. Showreel Surgery Live is this week. We've covered that. I think we're pretty good on housekeeping. We've done everything that we needed to do, I think. Getting some new scenes booked in, as I know my showreel needs improving, says Josh. I don't think I've seen your reel, Josh. What's on it, mate? Who's real? Who thinks their reel's in a really good position now, and you are sending it out like regularly and you're proud to promote it, or who's still holding back? Paul Stevens says, what is a showreel? Paul, a showreel is, for an actor, it's basically evidence that you can act, mate. So it would either be a few clips from work you have already done on TV or in films you've been in, and you cut some of your best material together, some of your best scenes together, roughly 2 minutes and 20 seconds worth. It doesn't need to be more than that. And you cut a few clips showing you in different roles to give casting directors a real good idea of your ability and who you are and what kind of roles that you fit like a glove. Equally, if you don't have footage from things you've been in, you get people like Chris Stone, who I was just talking about a minute ago, who will shoot stuff from scratch for you. They will write you scenes, perfectly, for you. Often based on things that you've experienced in your real life, so you can emotionally connect to them. And then you can create a show reel from shot from scratch footage. So if you're brand new to the industry, mate, that's what a show reel is. Definitely. From shows you were in, yeah, absolutely, Paul, definitely. Natalie says, debating about whether to get my recent self-tape edited in. What I would do, Nat, is I wouldn't ever put a self-tape in the middle of a show reel, that's either of broadcast stuff or of shot from scratch stuff. It's very jarring when you go from something professionally shot to a self-tape. Your performance can be great in your self-tape, no problem at all, but I don't like them being just injected in the middle of a reel. What I would do is I would create a separate reel of tapes, and you can have that on your Spotlight. You could still upload that to Twitter or wherever. You could still send those clips separately to casting directors in your emails, etc. Still put them on YouTube, wherever you want to host them. But I would have a separate reel of self-tapes, and you might even label them on the back end of Spotlight now. You can have 20 minutes of footage on Spotlight and in the back end, and you can show 20 minutes on the front end in as many clips as you like, as long as it doesn't go over 20 minutes combined. So for instance, I have my main show reel, but then I have another show reel of just police scenes. I've played a policeman in so many shows over the years on TV that I've gone, listen, if someone wants a policeman, I've played every kind of copper. I've played the nice ones, the bad ones, the corrupt ones, just the normal ones, just, arresting people and stuff. And then the ones who are beating, the dodgy ones who are like beating up the criminals. So I've got like a bit of everything. So I've made a reel just of police scenes. So I would do that. I think that's better than just randomly having a showreel, a traditional style showreel interrupted by a self tape. But there's no harm in you doing that at all, Nat, and it means that you don't have to pay for an edit or anything like that. Just have your self tapes on your Spotlight and label them, comedy self tape or doctor self tape, nurse self tape, whatever it is. Josh says, I didn't really have a reel before joining Acts on This, so it's basically clips I've done from web series and shorts I did over lockdown. Oh, okay, Josh, so I guess if you did them over lockdown, it's all probably kind of like remote stuff, is it? Or like Zoom stuff or stuff from home? If that is the case, again, nothing wrong with that, of having that as a separate kind of reel. But yeah, I would definitely, if you can, mate, get out and get some scenes in the real world shot. Always a little bit more effective. And Nat says that's a good idea. Yeah, honestly, Nat, I see people do it really effectively. There's nothing wrong with having a self-tape reel at all. Just keep it separate though. I've seen some really, really good ones. Definitely. Else is going on. All right, Chris, hope you are well. We're just about wrapping it up in a few minutes, but thanks for joining us. If anyone else has got any questions, let us know. And if you're watching on the replay and you've got any questions, drop me a tweet at ActOnThisTV, at Ross A. Grant on Twitter. More than happy to answer your questions as well. And yeah, fire any questions through. Let us know if you've got anything else coming up this week. Anyone got anything exciting happening? It's Monday night. Anything could happen this week. Brendan says, I'm proud to say the short film I was in got sponsored by BAFTA. And has been nominated. Oh, hang on, I'm losing your comment. Has been nominated for Best Director, Best Film, Best Actor, Actress, and Supporting Actor, which is Brendan. Wow, and Best Cinematography. Brendan, it's cleaned up, mate. It's cleaned up. So what? What's it been? So what's it been nominated in? Is that a film festival? Or is that something that BAFTA is doing as well? Like, how does that work? I mean, that sounds really exciting. Congrats, mate. That's brilliant. That's wicked. And Josh says, yeah, it's Zoom clips. So I've got scenes sorted and got actors, just booking the actors in with the showreel company. And this will improve my chances of getting auditions as the scenes will reflect me. Yeah, Josh, honestly, mate, make sure your scenes are really congruent with who you are, right? Don't play against your casting type to prove you can act or any bullshit like that. When you're first starting out and you're looking for your first few roles on TV, the reality is you're not going to get the lead blockbuster roles, in Line of Duty. I mean, unless literally lightning might strike 1 in a million times where that happens. It did actually happen to a member of Acts on This, David Carpenter, little legend. He's a young actor. I think he was 17, 18. And he'd join us on the Zoom calls every week. And he was always so diligent. I've done an interview with him, actually, that I'm going to put out for you guys so you can like look at how he did this. But he always jumps on the Zoom calls with us every week with our guests, and he was there diligently with a notepad, and he really, at 16 he was at the time, got his game plan together. The guy just really had his shit together. And ultimately, over the space of a year since joining Acts on This, learned all about the business of the business from our guests, put it into practice, and landed a lead role in ITV's The Bay, all 6 episodes of season 3 that has just been shot. Phenomenal. Lightning struck. That is not typical. Most people do not do that, but it shows you that it is possible. But most people, Josh, start off playing the doctor for 3 lines, playing the nurse, playing the policeman, playing the barman, whoever it would be. So shoot some scenes that are really congruent with where you feel you fit within those day player areas. In the serial dramas mostly, that's where I started off working my first dozen jobs practically, in things like Emmerdale, Coronation Street, Hollyoaks, Doctors, Casualty, Holby. Those kind of shows. We've got less than a year to get in Holby, by the way. Holby's finish in March 2022. So we had Emma Sylvester on, casting from the casting department in the BBC, works with John Cannon and Stephen Moore on Holby City. Get your stuff off to Emma, folks. We've not got long. I want to nail one job on Holby before it closes. Just to go, yeah, did it. I've done Casualty, not done Holby though. I'd love to do that. So yeah, really have a think, Josh, about what you're shooting, mate, and make sure that it is congruent with who you are, and it's not something that you're trying to do to prove you can act. You're not recreating some kind of, I don't know, some gunfight or some bloody, I don't know, fantasy bow staff somersaulting magic scene. There's a place for that. There's definitely a place for that at some point, but it's generally not going to be the first job that you do. Definitely. Right, I'm going to start wrapping it up in a couple of, in about a minute's time. Let's just see if there's any more comments. Joe wants Holby. Joe, it's possible. We'll get you in Holby as a nurse. We'll sort that out. Definitely. We just need to get some showreel material for you in one of those kind of roles. Sharon says needs to get short finished, but some cast and crew have been really ill and others have COVID. Oh God. So can't finish till they're well. Yeah. Make sure, don't try and finish it when everyone's got COVID, Sharon. Not ideal, definitely. So thanks so much for joining us. Yeah, like I say, I'll wrap it up in a second, but if you want to join us this Saturday for this free training, it is the same training again that I ran last month. Just to be transparent with you guys, I know a lot of you probably were on that training, but if anyone wasn't and you're looking for your first TV role or your next TV role fast and you want to basically have me take you through a blueprint of how I booked my first 15 TV jobs by going into much more detail on what I just mentioned then, really about getting scenes shot that are really congruent with who you are, join us for this training Saturday morning, 10 a.m, 7th of August. actonthis.tv/training to reserve your place. Fill the form in and you'll get a Zoom link sent to you literally automatically within minutes of filling that form in. Keep it safe and I'll see you Saturday morning. For all you members of actonthis.tv, I'll see you Thursday night with Chris Stone for Showreel Surgery. Q3 2021, which means we'll only have one more this year after this, Showreel Surgery. The year has gone by so quick. I will send all you members an email tomorrow with a Google form link if you want to put your showreel in the mix to be played out on that and have some Showreel Surgery done on it by Chris Stone. I'll also post it in the Facebook group as well. If you guys are listening on the replay, it's the 2nd of August as I'm recording this. You've got until the 5th. You've got until the 5th of August, 3 days to get your reels on that form. Check the Facebook group out if you want to have yours in the mix. And I think that's about it. I'll obviously be back next Monday night for some more chat. Let's have a look if there's any more comments anymore. Indra wants Holby. Everyone wants Holby. Basically. Oh, and Brendan, my God, mate, you should be freaking on Holby or Casualty because you are a nurse. What are you doing? Why have I been on more medical dramas than you have? And I'm not a nurse, you know. Lawrence Russell, acts on this member, he was a COVID nurse in EastEnders, wasn't he? Giving Patrick his COVID jab not long ago. You could do that in your sleep, mate. If you've not got a decent nurse scene shot, that's got to be top of the agenda for you, Brendan. God, you could walk that, mate. It's your freaking job in real life. Yeah, never thought of that. You definitely need to get in Holby before it finishes. Definitely, without a doubt. Right, I'm going to play out the little mashup of Kahleen's session. If you want to get access to the session that we've, with Kahleen and also another 400 hours or so of features with the biggest names in the business, get yourself over to actonthis.tv, get a membership. You can join us every single week for these private Zoom calls and you'll get access to all the recordings of the ones you've missed. There's the one with Kahleen right there. It's titled We're Not the Enemy, because that was something Kahleen said, like, Cassandra says, we're not the enemy. We want you to be amazing. We want you to come in the room and blow us away. We're on your side. It's an incredible 90-minute chat with Kahleen, breaking down her office in Glasgow, her office in London, her entire team, what they like, what they don't like, how the casting works, self-tapes, Zoom recalls, absolutely everything. Invaluable advice you won't get anywhere else. Get a membership and you get access to that. And you can join us every week for our session. So I'll play out the little mashup of some other bits from Kahleen's session. And I'll love you and leave you guys. It's bang on 10 o'clock. We are finishing on time. And Brenda says, I'm sick of shouting at them. What, patience or the casting departments saying you want to be on Holby or Casualty? It's got to happen, mate. Stephen Moore, John Cannon, get on to Roland Beckley, Emma Sylvester, Gemma Hancock, all the doctors lot. I mean, just everybody. Basically, go down and just camp out at BBC Elstree. So I'm not going until you give me an audition. We'll get you a job before Christmas, Brendan, 100%. Right, here's a little mashup. I'll love you and leave you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening on the replay. And I'll see you Thursday night for some Showreel Surgery live. Until then, lots of love, everybody. Bye for now. Casting director for some of literally the biggest films and TV shows out there. Smash hits like I Hate Susie and His Dark Materials, Ken Loach films, I, Daniel Blake, and Sorry We Missed You. Upcoming BBC drama, The North Water. Channel 4's upcoming drama, Screw. So much more. It's Kahleen Crawford. Kahleen, how are you tonight? Some of the highlights out of those credits then, and maybe why they were highlights for you.
The thing about looking for Eric was just it was just an incredible life experience. I was in Manchester, which is a place I've then learned I love. Steve was used to hearing an accent that to him was like French, you know.
Right.
And so when he heard the accent, he said, oh, it's one of the French guys it's one of the Belgian guys saying some of the lines. But I think probably in his head he was like, I think that's Cantona.
That could be Cantona.
And then he turned round and you just like heard complete hilarity in the room because he was so shocked.
You've got a Glasgow office, a Kahleen Crawford casting, and a London office.
The London office was very different, but it sort of it sort of found its own little island while the Glasgow office were really super busy, and Dan and I and Caroline and I were still sharing some jobs, so we still had that nice connection.
For you, how do you like to be approached by actors?
Once a year and on special occasions. Like, that's what I would say. And a special occasion is you've got a TX going out of something, a transmission. So if like you're going to be in an episode of something, or you did a part in a film, or you're doing a show.
What makes like a cracking tape, and what are the pitfalls actors are maybe falling into that makes it not so good?
Every self-tape is an audition. Please consider it an audition. I consider it an audition. I take it just as seriously when you do that for me.
Do you prefer to see 2 different takes of a tape?
If you're casting for smaller day play roles, how can a performance be memorable? What makes you think this person over that person?
Just give that character a little bit of a kind of like something, another thought in their day. Like, we're not the enemy, we're there because we want you to get the part. Please get the part. I can go home and relax if you get the part.